A 7.5 magnitude earthquake with a depth of 25 kilometers has struck the Southern Highlands region.
I can assure our people in the Ella province and in the Southern Highlands province, Western province and of course Enga province, that we will be giving them our top priority in the coming weeks, making sure.
This program is brought to you by Lightspeed, keeping you online all the time.
And what I have to display is what's called a shape map of the earthquake Monday morning. It's like a bullseye, and it goes from coast to coast in Papua New Guinea. It's showing that there was very intense shaking in the red zone in the middle of the bullseye. And this area covered about 400 kilometers by about 200 kilometers, centered in the Highlands region. And the earthquake activity continued after the main event. So I have a map showing the aftershock sequence, shown by different colored symbols, and the earthquake aftershock sequence is covering a zone about 150 kilometers long, and it is a zone which parallels the mountain range. This is an area of known earthquake activity. There have been many earthquakes in the region over a long period of time, and the earthquakes are actually signifying that there's a geological process going on, which is actually this mountain building. And we know that this has been going on for about 4 million years. And the earthquakes are a normal part of the process of building of the mountain range. So the earthquake that occurred on Monday was just one part of that process. The uplift, we know, was of the order of about 0.5 meter to 1 meter in the most affected area. The aftershock sequence and the main earthquake actually show a very large area of uplift, which is shown by this interferogram. So this is a very colourful image which shows that the main area of activity was a zone which is very close to where the aftershocks are occurring, in the centre of this zone in here, like a sort of a worm-shaped zone. And that's where the uplift of about 0.5 meter occurred. So that's where the most damage also occurred. So in terms of the ongoing activity, this pattern of aftershocks will follow the normal pattern, and we expect that the aftershocks will continue for more like a couple of weeks. Initially we said a couple of days to a couple of weeks, but it's already a week now, so it's more likely that the aftershock sequence will continue for a couple of weeks altogether. And this is the normal pattern that we see after a big earthquake. With large earthquakes, the aftershock sequence will continue for much longer. So for a couple of weeks we will continue to see aftershocks. We're still seeing aftershocks of magnitude 5 at the moment. There are many smaller ones, of course, and the bigger aftershocks were magnitude 6, and they seem to have finished. So we expect that the magnitude 5 and magnitude 4 earthquakes will continue for maybe another couple of weeks.
We call this press conference because of the earthquake on the 26th of February, which everybody's aware of in PNG, and the fact that there have been over 20 deaths, somewhere between 20 and 50, depending on how you look at the figures. Numerous personal injuries, and there's been massive infrastructure damage. As a result of that, the national government declared a state of emergency and installed me as the emergency controller, along with a disaster emergency restoration team, which includes the Secretaries for Finance, Secretaries for Works, Defence and PAs for Southern Highlands Province and Hella. What the team has done since its inception a few days ago is to seek reports from the National Disaster Centre staff who have been on the ground since the earthquake, as well as from the PAs. We've had 2 meetings of the committee. We met on Friday night and we met on Saturday night, so we haven't wasted any time. It is an emergency and we're giving it the utmost care and attention to address it. Hence the group that we've got here today, which is a Sunday. So I thank everybody for their time and coming on a day like Sunday. But it's important that we do, and it's important that we get the message across that we've had those 2 meetings, we've sought the information, and I will say this publicly. I voiced my disappointment at the last meeting with the content of the report submitted by the National Disaster Centre, which had insufficient detail after 8 days for us to make any decisions on where we would send things, where the real need is. So the situation report was general, and the needs analysis was non-existent. Now, that's not a criticism of the National Disaster people and what they're trying to do. It's a criticism of the system. The system is simply not working. They're out there, they've got information, but we can't get it. So, as a team, we sat around this thing and said, well, what can we do about it? Because we need to know where it is. There are some areas where we have corporate entities like Oil Search, Op, Teddy, Porger, etc., where we're getting information because they're sending it back to us, and we thank them for doing that. It's enabled us to make some initial decisions on shipment of essential goods. So last night we approved the dispatch of 1 million worth of food and water to Morrow via C-130 aircraft, which the Australian government has been kind enough to donate the services of. That food I can confirm is now is being delivered to the warehouse in Hagen today, and will be shipped sometime tomorrow. So we'll have that out there. That's an initial shipment, I stress, and we understand there's somewhere over 2,000 people there in some degrees of distress. We want to alleviate that. We do not want to have a problem where people are hungry or cold or have got no water. Right? So we are going to ensure that those supplies keep coming. In respect to the other areas, some of which are also hard hit, we have been trying to contact every CEO of the DDA, respective DDAs, and get that situation report and needs analysis from them and blend that with whatever we get from the National Disaster Centre. The communications setup is, started off as confused. We're trying to sort that out as soon as possible. We have the National Disaster Centre has set up a command post in the Emergency Restoration Team Office, which we've set up in Gordon's. The Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary will also set up their radio communications there, and we will have our officers there as well. So we'll have one centre dealing with everything. We won't have disparate bodies with silos of information that we can't access, which is the current problem. And I want to publicly state that I'm getting a great deal of support from the secretaries that are involved, and they have been on the phone the same as we have, getting to people, getting information and trying to push this along. So it's a team effort, and a lot of work is going into it to get these things done. Where the DDAs respond, we will deliver the emergency aid as needed. And our job is to coordinate the efficient and effective delivery of these services during the disaster period. We're not trying to, as we've said as the committee, we're not trying to take over departmental responsibilities. We want to use the departments. They're never going to improve if they don't get used and they don't learn from experience. So we're using them. Where they falter or have difficulties, they'll come to the committee and we will work with them to overcome those things. We've got the expertise to do that, and we've got the contacts. So that's how it's going to be applied. I should say that emergency medical supplies we also approved, nearly 3 million of emergency medical supplies. Again, we're going to use the Department of Health to distribute those to health centres equitably, based on which health centres, of course, are operational. Almost point sending it to a location where we've got no health centre operating. So again, we've said to the Department of Health where they have difficulty with any of this, they come to us with transportation and logistics issues. We'll help solve those things and get things flowing. So we've got 3 million. There's sufficient medical equipment and supplies to be out there. I also want to say with both the emergency food and medical, we've talked to suppliers and got those suppliers as good corporate citizens in the interest of PNG to supply that stuff before we've given them a formal purchase order or payment. So I want to congratulate the private enterprise in PNG for their assistance. There's been a lot of assistance given by companies, and not only those that are resident in the disaster zones. Would like all a call to the DDAs that we haven't been able to contact yet, because some of the CEOs have been uncontactable because there's we'll get to that in a minute about communications being a problem. So, but any DDA CEO that hasn't been contacted by the response team as yet, they can get in contact with us on numbers which I'll give to the press. Do you want me to repeat them now? 7362 1580, 716 35894, 718 59245. That'll get either I or one of my officers, and we'll take the call and we'll act on it immediately. So we want them to ring us. You know, we're trying to get in contact with them. I should also say that regarding communications, a lot of it's by mobile phone up there. I've been in contact with Digicel. Digicel indicated that 63 communications towers were affected by the earthquake. Over 40 have been repaired already. A further 17 will be operational in the next few days. 4 will require longer time to fix, as the towers have either collapsed and or been vandalised. Unfortunately, the vandals have been at work at least 3 of them, which is very regrettable in a time where communications is essential, that people go out and do this. So I'd like to ask those people in those communities not to vandalise any of those properties at the moment, because they're essential services in communications. Digicel's also advised that as the site is recovered, and in other words they bring the tower back up, all subscribers in that location will get unlimited one talk plus free, and all NGOs operating in the region rendering assistance can obtain handsets, MiFi minutes and data to assist them in their work. So that's being donated by Digicel. So again, you see the range of corporate citizens, good corporate citizens we have. Everybody's pulling together. So I think we've got off to a good start in the sense that we have commitment from everybody to try and remedy the situation as fast as possible. On Monday, the Secretary of Finance and I will be contacting international donors and addressing the issues of what may be provided by those donors, whether it be in kind or in way of money. There's a lot of people have also asked in.
A 7.5 magnitude earthquake with a depth of 25 kilometers has struck the Southern Highlands region.
I can assure our people in the Ella province and in the Southern Highlands province, Western province and of course Enga province, that we will be giving them our top priority in the coming weeks. Making sure.
This program is brought to you by Lightspeed, keeping you online all the time.
Port Moresby they want to give to these people. The issue of in-kind is really a problem because by the time we ship it up there, it's probably cost us more than we could get it from Mount Hagen and bring it in. So it's not effective. It's not an effective use of money. If people want to start a fund and donate money, then by all means do so. But I think in-kind donations won't assist us at the moment. They're going to be a hindrance more than a help, given the location. Now, we've been in touch with the major companies there. Oil Search is represented here today. Down there. Yeah, hands up. Yeah, Exxon as well. And Exxon's advised that it's allocated funds for rehabilitation work around the LNG area, significant funds, and it's going to work repairing roads and other things related to it. Oil Search is making steady progress on road repairs itself from either end, working towards the middle. So they're getting there. OTML's advised that the road access to the mine area is being cleared and should be open shortly. So in terms of that economic infrastructure, PNG was rather lucky. It could have been much worse. That doesn't say it hasn't cost. It's cost a lot of money, but it could have been significantly worse. So I think we can be lucky in those respects. Now, in terms of procurement of goods, which is always a problem during these times of crisis, normal tender processes will be suspended under the emergency. However, I want to assure the public that while I'm in charge as controller, we will not be wasting public monies. We will have an accountant go through this. Nobody will, there'll be no commitments made outside other than through the team. And we're going to have a purchase order system that we institute where the purchase order will be signed by me, and if we don't get a purchase order, they don't get paid. Simple. So if anyone comes along to hire cars, helicopters or anything else and mentions the committee and they haven't got a purchase order, then suppliers should not supply. They should contact us. And we'll deal with the people concerned. So I want to make that clear that we're going to do this in a fiscally responsible way. This is not open largesse where we throw money everywhere. We're not going to waste it. We're not in a situation in the country where we can afford to waste money. So we're going to control this, but we're going to deliver. And we've got some very good people either side of me here that are working on that delivery. What I'd like to do now is just hand over to the Secretary for Works. Sorry? Yeah, well, the trust account will be open on Monday morning, and we'll have 150 million in that trust account. And we intend there'll be cheques raised against that trust account, but there'll be 3 signatories to the trust account, myself and the 2 secretaries either side of it. So it won't be open slather. Now, we'll be getting, while the normal tenders processes, I said, will be suspended, we will be getting quotations or estimates from every supplier for these jobs. So they're not just going to be saying, fix this piece of road and send us the bill. That is not going to happen. They will give us a quote in the first place to fix that. Right, we're not going through formal tenders because it's going to take too long and people are suffering. But we will have an audit trail. of all this money that will be spent. So I want to assure the people that it will be done the right way.
In terms of roads, there are a number of places that have been identified to be very critically blocked off. We got existing contracts and arrangements on these sites where contractors are already on site. They're responding to these landslips. Landslips very well on the site. From Mendi coming back to Abula, we had 19 landslips, and according to the reports we are getting, I think these slips have all been cleared. There is one major landslip at the bottom of Tinto Mill. That's where we are trying to get some assistance and support from the security personnel on the ground to try and open up this. Another critical section is from Mogoli going down to the Heights plant site. And we also talking to the provincial administration on the ground as well as security personnel so that the contractors can quickly access the site and open up the roads. Roads at this time, accessibility of roads at this time is very critical in terms of moving fuel and other goods up to the affected sites. And we're giving our priority to ensure that road accessibility is restored. We know that there is extensive damage, and shortly we'll be dispatching some experts, especially to investigate the condition of our bridges. By Monday, Tuesday, we'll be dispatching some bridge experts on the site to go through the entire length of the road so that we check and establish the current condition of the bridges after the earthquake. So that's been arranged. Then based on the full investigation and full assessment of both the road and bridges, we'll come up with a cost and try and bring it back to the disaster committee here, the coordination committee, and look at fixing up those bridges and road sections. We also told we also receiving reports that the Medikanda road is badly affected, and there's about 3 or 4 locations that the road is completely blocked off. By tomorrow, we should also start on clearing the landslips on the Medikanda road as well. So I think in terms of roads, important thing at this stage is to make sure accessibility is open, and we'll work on the slips first and then look at the major reconstruction following the studies and assessment by the expert team that will be deployed to those various sites.
I should say that we need those roads obviously to be open for transport of goods and services, and for the economy as well. We will be stockpiling some equipment and like water purification equipment, tanks, etc. in Hagen in preparation for that advice on the needs analysis from the DDAs. Once they tell us they need a tank, they need this, we'll get it out there. But we're not going to shift 10 tanks to a location and find we need none. That's just nonsensical. We can't, it takes time to do this and do it correctly. Otherwise we will end up with things in the wrong spot and paying 3 times the movement. So we haven't got the money to do that. We've got to do it right the first time. So I ask people to be a little bit patient with us. Things are moving fast now, so they should see some difference in the next 3 or 4 days. Significant difference. The funds that are to be used for humanitarian purposes and reconstruction of public assets. Those public assets being schools, hospitals, roads, bridges. If we start to try and supply houses to everybody, we'll never stop the 7 million people we should give a house to. Because the whole of Papua New Guinea would save Where's mine? There could be schemes under DSIP or PSIP, etc. that the leaders are talking about, but it's not coming out. The trust deed is specific what the funds can be used for.
That's right.
And we follow the letter, as I said, well, I'm here to follow the letter of the law.
We have been calling since Friday, and this is the second day, third day, and I'm glad that you want some good information on the progress. This is very good. The thing is, given Friday no information, today we have still not much, but we can be able to plan ahead, and we've done it very well, because we're going to reach out in terms of health for up to 25,000 people in terms of supplying the immediate need, that is water. Yes, we know that the drinking water is murky and issues are there, and as you know, rightfully you asking question. We are aware of that. We accommodate that by having adequate water for at least the first 25,000 people. Now we need to know when to go and give it to them. We're very happy that some areas are being taken care of by partners. Thank you very much. But there are a lot of people out there where we need to. But then, as we plan, from now we've got the 25,000 mark to be able to first reach once we land within 24 hours. We are ready to go with the 1 million kilos worth of drugs alone, plus IV fluids and everything that we need to stop persons from progressing in the disease. Because remember, most of our casualties are those injuries. We don't have disease outbreak as yet. We've got to prevent that, because there's a lot of human fecal matter floating around out there. There's deaths that have occurred, and we are aware of heavy metals and others that may have come out because of the, the disruption to the geoflow, the geology. We will, with the Vice Minister, who is also from there, the Honorable Mr. Raminai, is very adamant that their people, and of course our people, need to have safety into what kind of water they want to have. We've got the environmental health, which we call the environmental toxicology people, who will attend to what level of impurities there are, and safely we can say this water is fit for drinking and not for drinking. Then we scale it down and narrow down how much people drink water. And then we've got a plan here where bigger distillation purification water system will go in. In the meantime, bottled water plus tablets that will purify any amount of water, any kind of water, bacterially, and some few levels of heavy metals that can be purified with these aqua tabs, we will. So I am do go and have that confidence that within 48 hours, now we're able to put up something we've got some very influential, and told the people with the Prime Minister put out good brains to be able to give confidence to people as far as giving the health care, health needs, and of course the humanitarian. The information on infrastructure, yes, we've got that almost there. We know where our roads are done. We know what buildings are going down. We know what needs to be done. We know what the street airport is closed. What we want to know is exactly within a small bit of money, not 450, we've got the 150 million, but then we need to know how much of that must be spent properly at the first instance, because if you blow it up and I just go and order things, drugs and whatever, and at the end of the day, they are not suitable and they are going to the wrong place, it's not good for us. As far as the logistics is concerned, yes, there are a lot of people who are rightfully going out to help out. They're using their own resources, the aircrafts and the helicopters and what have you. But this is only 3 days. We're trying to put them together and then level it. And we don't even have an office yet. We've got it tomorrow. So I'm glad that you keep on asking the question. When the 48 hours come and ask the question, I'm sure we'll be all smiling and ask for other questions. The people of Ella, Southern Islands, we thank you for being patient. Know also that disaster is not planned, it's nowhere in any 5-year plan, 10-year plan, or whatever plan of any character, a company or a government. It occurs, it occurs. Drugs and things that we need have to be processed. And they've got their own stocks which, depending on a daily use, they do procurement and have it ready. This one is large. Large need large. They can't even give us water to start off with, because more than 50 cartons, they can't give it. Similar thing for drugs. We've got to allow for those to happen. So we are mobilizing what is there in the government system, what is there in the pharmacies, and then have them ready to be taken up. But rightfully, MAF plus any others avail your continual assistance in providing medical service to the people of Papua New Guinea, not only the Southern Islands. We need that, and our government has put up this private-public partnership. Let's cherish this. This is this is the time when it requires all private entities, whatever work you do, however good you are, we need you now and now. And this is the coordinated net. We will coordinate it. We will give you what we'll at least try to reach out to 80-90% of the problem areas. Thank you very much.
Did go up to the 2 provinces, and we came back. And I think after we came back, you can see that we've already organized with PM and with the NSC. We're already moving forward. So within the next 48 hours, I think we should be able to try and go up there and then help the people. I myself, tomorrow onwards, I'm going up there as well. So we are there and we face difficulties. It's been challenging for us, but we're still going up there and helping the people. We also would like to give assurance to our people that the government is going out there and we are helping them. Thank you.
A 7.5 magnitude earthquake with a depth of 25 kilometers has struck the Southern Highlands region.
I can assure our people in the Ella province and in the Southern Highlands province, Western province and of course Enga province, that we will be giving them our top priority in the coming weeks. We're making sure.
This program is brought to you by Lightspeed, keeping you online all the time.